What is up, YouTube? How you doing? Zeron Taha, welcome. Thank you for people to tune in here. Have some. All right. Sorry about that, guys. My internet went out. That's what happens when you have AT&T and you live in the mountains. And oh man, it happens a lot with AT&T, especially in the mountains. So what I did, I switched to T-Mobile, and I'm now using a hotspot because AT&T is not reliable at all. However, it's the only company that covers me in the mountains, so I'm stuck with it. But anyway, sorry about that, guys. Welcome back to the live stream. Happily resumed and happily back online. I had quite a few viewers a second ago. They all vanished because the stream ended, and we're back online now. So let's go ahead and wait a few minutes for some people to tune back in here, and hopefully we will go do the stream without any speed bumps. Looks like everything is operating the way it should. So go ahead, start populating the chat with some of your questions. We'll go ahead and answer them, and everything should be good with that. So, okay. First off, something that's really important, something that I started investing in, is rechargeable batteries. So here's the thing. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 mics, onboard LED light that sucks a lot of power. So what I did, I was thinking to myself, I'm spending too much money on AA batteries. I need to buy rechargeable batteries. So there's a whole bunch of sellers on eBay that sell dirt cheap rechargeable batteries that are good for up to 500 charges. So now I run everything off of rechargeable batteries. I no longer use disposable batteries. It's better for the environment that way, and it's better for you that way because you're able to actually not only just buy the rechargeable battery, but what size, like how many milliamp hours you want. So I got the maximum allowed for AA, which is 3,000 milliamp hours, or 3,000 or 300. I don't remember. I think it's 3,000. So it's supposed to last a lot longer than the Amazon ones. So that's what happened. Danny is asking, what editing software do I use? Sony Vegas any good? So when I had a PC, I only used Sony Vegas. And then ever since I switched to Mac or Apple, I started using Final Cut Pro. But yeah, Sony Vegas was my favorite video editing software when I had a PC. I relied on it so much, and I believe that the latest version just came out, Sony Vegas Pro 14. That's supposed to be a really great program. My only complaint about Sony Vegas 12, that was the version I was using when I had it, it crashed a lot. So whenever I was doing some cool effects or something, Vegas would crash. So I hope that they fix that in the newer versions like Sony Vegas Pro 13 and 14 that recently came out. So you don't want any software crashing on you. I even had Final Cut crash on me a few times, but not nearly as much as Sony Vegas did. So Sony Vegas 14, definitely look into that. You can download, I think they have a 30-day trial with Sony Vegas. Download it. It's so easy to use that software. It's incredibly fast to edit with, and it's incredibly fast to render with. So I wish they had it for Apple, to be honest. But as of right now, I'm pretty happy with Final Cut Pro. So if you're an Apple user, strongly consider using Final Cut Pro 10 as your video editing software of choice. I love it. So yeah, I hope that answered your question. So this week has been a pretty big week for this channel. I released a video on Monday talking about slow motion footage with the DJI Mavic Pro. That video is doing phenomenally well, a lot better than I expected it to. and it's bringing a lot of new subscribers to this channel. In the last 3 or 4 days, I think I made 500 new subscribers. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So if any of those new subscribers are watching now, please, 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 please comment some questions, some new ideas you want me to shoot for a new video. All right. Okay. Let's answer some questions here. Matahir Mir, I have a little question regarding my wieldy. Okay, let me know what your question is. Ziran Taha, which frame rate do you use for sequence? 24, 25, or 30? So I'm in the United States, so I don't use 25. So for me, it would be either 30 or 24. And when I want slow motion, I shoot in 60. So those are the frame rates I'm sticking with. And again, just like I was talking about in my slow motion video with the Mavic Pro, if you're shooting at 60 frames per second, you want to make sure that your shutter speed is at 1/120th. Your shutter speed should always be double your frame rate. Danny's asking another question. Thank you so much. Headed to Guatemala tomorrow with my Mavic Pro. Just downloaded Vegas 14 last night. Gonna hopefully use Vegas to make a cool video. Yeah, check it out. Use Vegas. Let me know how you like it. I'm sure you're gonna love it because Sony Vegas is a very good video editor. And it handles it's made by Sony. Sony invented Blu-ray, and Blu-ray was the first high definition video to come out on disc. So Sony knows everything about high definition, 4K, 6K, 8K. So don't worry about Sony Vegas not being able to handle that type of stuff. It can. So don't worry about that. Ziranta is asking, what about if you shoot at 120 frames and your premiere sequence is 24 frames? How does it work? So basically, at 120, if you're importing your footage, that's 120 frames per second. Premiere Pro, I think you're talking about Premiere Pro. It's automatically going to downsize to 24 frames per second, which is not a big deal. However, if you kind of flip the situation, if you shot at 24 frames per second and imported it into a 30 frames per second timeline, you're going to have some choppiness there. You're not going to have the footage. You're going to be missing some frames. So as long as the frames per second is higher than the project timeline you're working in, then you shouldn't have a problem. It's always good to shoot with more frames than less if you're worried about like smoothness or slow motion or something like that. That's why I rarely shoot at 24 frames per second, because I want to have, if I shoot something that's incredible that I will probably never be able to shoot again, I want to make sure that I can have as many different editing options as possible in my video editor program. So that's why I mainly shoot at a high frame rate, so that way I can slow it down in post-production. 24 frames is very sketchy for me to shoot at because I won't be able to slow it down. I just won't be able to. So I mainly shoot at 60 frames per second. Ivan is asking how old I am. I don't know if I should tell you. I'm 24. 24 years old. 24 years young, I should say. So yeah, I hope I answered your editing question, because I know that's always a big thing that people like to ask. It's a lot of it has to do with frame rates and shutter speeds and all that other kind of good stuff. So yeah, I hope I answered your question on that. Okay. Zeron is asking, can you make a tutorial on color correction D-Log shoots by Phantom 4 Pro? I don't have a Phantom 4 Pro. However, I do have a tutorial video on how to color grade from D-Log. And it's basically going to be the same exact way for doing it with the Phantom 4 Pro. So check out my channel. Maybe I can find it for you and give you the link. Let me see here. find you the link. Give me 1 second. Dun 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 dun. Alright, so we are looking for the color correction tutorial. That's going to be right here. Okay. So here is the color correction tutorial from D-Log. So this process is exactly the same for the Phantom 4 Pro, so don't worry about that. Ivan is asking, should I get a Mavic? If yes, how do I make my parents buy one? Very good question. Yes, you should definitely buy the Mavic. How do you make your parents buy you one? Tell them it can be your birthday present for when your birthday comes up. But unfortunately, on your birthday, they probably won't be able to get you anything since they already got you a Mavic. Try to guilt trip them. Be like, if you don't get me a Mavic, then you don't love me. Guilt tripping parents usually works. It's a good tactic. I used to do it on my parents. At the moment, I have a Matahir. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. At the moment, I have a 6D with a 24 to 105 lens. The question is, I almost balanced my wieldy and my camera is already at the end of the backside, but my camera moves to the front a little bit, so how can I solve that? Okay, so how did you mount your camera on the cheese plate? Did you mount it in the front, center, or back? You're probably going to have to change the positioning of your camera on the cheese plate. So let me know where you positioned it. Since you've run out of backspace, maybe remove your camera, remove the cheese plate, reposition the camera into the back of the cheese plate, then put it back on. And that should solve your issue. Oh wow, so it's already at the back. Okay. Alright, so maybe try... Huh. Interesting issue. Okay, so another thing that you can do is actually remove one weight plate from the back side of your wieldy, tighten it back on, and that will make you want to push your camera forward to compensate for that weight loss in the back of your system. So you can do that as well. You can take off one weight, see what happens, push your camera forward, and that should help you out. So do you have two, when you say you have two weights below, do you have two weights on each side or one weight on each side? Also try mounting your camera in the center of the cheese plate. Just try it out and see how it goes. It's really difficult for me to tell you what to do if I don't see it. Because I used to have a 5D Mark II, which is a similar size to the 6D, and I balanced it just fine on my wieldy with a similar lens. So you shouldn't have an issue there. Maybe it's just where you position the camera on the cheese plate. Yeah, so try taking off the camera, putting it in the center of the cheese plate, then rebalance it. If that doesn't work, take off one plate off of the back side of the sled, and then that will make you want to push your camera forward and see if that works. Or before taking off that weight, since the wieldy has an adjustable sled, push the back side of the sled in, leave the other one out, and then that will also make you push your camera forward a little bit. So this is kind of like a puzzle game a little bit, right? You always want to find that compensation for the weight that you take away. So by pushing the weight in, you're going to make the camera point down, or it's going to just make you push the camera forward. So just work with it and let me know what you think, okay? I think by pushing in that back side of the sled will help you out a lot. I really do think that'll help you out. Any more questions, my friends? Try right now while we're on the chat and let me know how it goes. Yeah, try right now in the chat. By the way, guys, I make this announcement as much as I can. There is a super chat icon in the chat box. That's like you can make a small donation to the channel. All these donations go towards new filmmaking equipment for me to review. And the more donations I get, the more equipment I can buy or rent and review it on my channel and help you guys with your purchasing decisions. So if you have a few bucks to spare, go ahead, click the super chat icon in the chat box. Donate $1, $2, $5, whatever you feel comfortable with. And that's going to help me buy or rent new equipment. So, yeah, check that out. Okay. Good chat, guys. Good chat. So we talked about the Wieldy. We talked a little bit about, rechargeable batteries. So in my opinion, I have so many batteries, guys. It's ridiculous. I have so many cases. If you look at all of my videos on YouTube and you go in the description box, you can see how much equipment I have. That's not even all of it. That's just the main equipment that I use. I haven't listed my batteries or my my accessories. I have a ton of cases, but batteries are so difficult to keep track of because I always lose batteries. I have 5 batteries for my GH4, and I have 7 batteries split between both my A7S and my A7R2. I also have 2 chargers for each camera. Yeah, so it's like on top of that, I have to have batteries for my lights, for my microphones, for my audio recorder. So I have to have rechargeable batteries for that as well. So it's a great idea to buy cases for your batteries, like little plastic cases, because just in case, batteries do have acid in them and they can leak and get all over your lenses and stuff like that. It's good to keep it in a sealed compartment just in case anything like that happens. So just a little tip for you if you have a lot of batteries, which I'm sure you do. I have my Cane TV Argo batteries, which is a gimbal I use. I mean, it's endless on how many batteries I have. Yeah, I lost track. Jordan Grant is asking, is it hard to be a filmmaker? Well, I mean, define hard. Is it fine to make money filmmaking? The answer is yes, it's very hard. In the beginning, it is extremely, extremely hard. But making money is never easy, guys. It's never, never easy. You always have to work for your money. So, any field that relates to art or creativity, imagination, it's very difficult to make money off of that. It's because it's not not practical, but it's not I'm looking for a specific word. It's not a generic job. To use your brain and imagination to create something. It's not a generic job. A generic job is a 9-to-5 job sitting in a cubicle working in an office job. That's generic. That's safe. But by doing something that involves artistic vision and creativity, that's something completely different. Paolo Calvi, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I want to review how I use the Premiere editing tools. Can you indicate a quick reference for how to use CC17 editing and cutting tools? On this live stream, I can't indicate a quick reference for that. Maybe I can make a tutorial on a Premiere Pro CC17. It's very simple. So it shouldn't be hard. And by the way, there's a ton of tutorials on YouTube already about Premiere Pro and how to use it. So check it out. Terra Thor is asking, how can you make sure that you always get the right exposure? You can't always make sure. You can't. That's the best thing you can do is to go over your analytics, look at your demographic, look at your highest ranked videos, And by highest ranked, I mean look at your engagement, the likes, dislike ratio, how many shares you're getting, how many comments you're getting. Are they positive, negative? How many views you're getting? That's a big one. And start releasing a bunch of videos that have to relate to that topic and see if those videos do, well as well. Because if they do, then you're already starting to understand what kind of audience you have watching your videos and what they're expecting out of your channel. For example, my audience is expecting me to release glide cam videos. They're expecting me to release drone videos. When I release a video about me being on Patreon, or I release a workout video that I did with a client showing you guys a shadowing experience, those videos don't get too many views. It's because that's not what my subscribers came to my channel for. They're coming to my channel for glide cam stuff. They're coming to my channel for gimbal and drone stuff. So when I hit 100,000 subscribers, I hope it shouldn't be too long from now, I will be able to venture off into different topics of film and not just drones and gimbals and glide cams, because there's so much more I want to do. There really is, but I just don't have a wide enough audience yet to venture off, make videos that don't grow. So I need to wait a little bit. I need to be patient until I grow my audience to over 100,000 subscribers. So I hope that answered your question. Greg Lee is asking, hey, can you recommend an ND filter for your GH4? Do you just buy a large one and then use step-down rings, or do you buy one for each of your lenses? Thanks, mate. So yeah, I would recommend using, so I don't have ND filters for my GH4 because I just use it as a vlogging camera, but I do have them for my Sony cameras. And yes, a step-down ring I think is great. The only issue I've had using a step-down ring is getting my ND filter stuck. I've had that happen to me so many times. So what I did is I took a rubber band, I put them on the outer rings of the ND filter and the step ring, and that gives me some extra grip to, turn the ND filter out of the step ring. But yeah, I feel like using a step down ring should work. It should work. I don't think you should spend money on all of your lenses, spend money on a whole bunch of ND filters for your lenses. If you can compensate for that cost by using a step down ring or a step up ring, do that. I think that's more beneficial, more cost efficient for you and your business. Issue resolved. I slide in back weight plate in a bit and it's done. See? There we go. Issue resolved. Issue resolved. You see that? Now you have a beautifully balanced wieldy. Okay? So Matahir, I'm happy that helped you balance your glide cam or your wieldy. So now go out and shoot. Now you don't have an excuse to go out and shoot some beautiful stuff. And send me your work. I want to take a look at it. Terrathor is asking, I meant the exposure on the camera, but thanks for the tips anyway. Oh! Ah! You meant exposure on the camera. Okay. Alright. Let me reread your question. How can you make sure that you always get the right exposure? Okay. So, when you're filming outside, you literally just have to go outside and just think about it. Can you actually give me more info about your question, like going from inside to outside, or like dark to bright areas? Give me more of a sense of what you mean. Sorry, I completely misunderstood your question. I thought you were talking about exposure as in like audience exposure. But yeah, if you're going from inside to outside, basically, you have to test your camera. See what a good exposure is for inside. See what a good exposure is for outside. You use the exposure gauge. Okay, you have an exposure gauge on your camera. All these cameras do. So it shows you what's overexposed, what's underexposed. Use zebras. Zebras show you what is blown out in your footage. So I would take a pencil, mark it down on your piece of paper and say, okay, I need to be at f8 here, and I need to be at f12 here. okay? And mark down your shutter speeds as well. I've gotten so used to my cameras that I just look into my LCD screen and I'm like, okay, I'm happy with that exposure. I'm happy with that exposure. I rarely look at the exposure gauge anymore. I don't. I just look at the LCD and I'm able to gauge off of that. Greg Lee's asking, do you use a specific brand of ND filters? Cheap ones, any good? So I don't use any specific. Actually, might. Um, they're packed away in my cases, so I'm not gonna go grab them. But I do have a purchase history of what I bought. Maybe I know that my UV filters are generic. They just say Japan Optics on them, so it's just maybe just a treated plate of glass basically. But the ND filter, I believe, is, I'll tell you the brand right now. It's like a $25-$30 filter. It's a little bit pricey in my opinion, but it works. Let me find the brand. Okay, so I have a brand. I have two different brands. I have one from Vivitar, which is a decent brand. This is one of them, Vivitar. And then I have another brand called Zome. Those are two brands. They're fairly cheap, 20, 25 bucks. You can get ND filters from them. They make them for Sony's. I think they even make them for GH4. So check that out. Paolo. I like a quick tool reviews you did for how to edit drone footage, but for Premiere. More focus on the tools. Okay. Give me a month or two to work on it, because I don't use Premiere. So I'm going to have to find a way to get Premiere, like a trial maybe, and work around with the controls, because I can, within a day or two, I can get really used to it. So give me some time to work on that, and we'll see what we can do. Thanks. Terrathor saying thanks. I use a G85, so I'll try what you do. Yeah, just mark it down. Eventually, you're going to get so used to your camera that you're going to be able to automatically adjust just looking at the LCD without even looking at any gauges. So you should be fine. Yeah, you don't always have to look at your exposure value gauge. Okay, you don't. Because a lot of the times, you'd be surprised, a lot of the times the exposure value gauge is not that accurate, because on a cloudy day it's going to probably say that the sky is clipping, the sky is too bright, when it's just the clouds. So the exposure value is not always accurate, and when you're shooting a subject that's well lit but the background is completely dark, the exposure value is going to say that you're underexposed, but you're really not. So it's not always a good thing to use the exposure gauge to tell you if you're in proper lighting or not, because there's just too many different scenarios. Another good thing to use is a light meter. I don't use one. When I took some film courses, the teachers always said, yes, use use light meters, but I work by myself, for myself, so I don't want to add to any more setup time than I already have. I just look into the LCD, look into my monitor, and see if I like the footage. If it's not well lit, I'm going to try repositioning the lights, dimming them in a certain way, putting a scrim in there, maybe a diffuser. I'm not going to mess with the light meter. I just don't have time with that. Use a light meter if you're working in a team. There should be a gaffer, there should be AD, director, DOP. So I don't use a light meter. I don't. So just use your eyes. Get used to what looks right to you. Zebras are an excellent way to measure things that are overexposed. Zebras are your best friends. So make sure you turn on zebras in your camera. All right. By the way, guys, By the way, if you haven't watched my newest video, my last two videos that I just released, I released one video on how to edit drone footage, like my preference and how I edit my drone footage. And I also released a video on slow motion with my DJI drone. Those two videos are greatly going to help you, not only with drone stuff, but with understanding how the editing process goes and how slow motion goes and frame rates and all that stuff. Watch my last two videos, guys. I'm telling you right now, the drone video with the slow motion and my drone editing tutorial. I'm really exhausted, guys. I didn't get much sleep, so I'm like in a tank top. Like, it's hot outside, so sorry if I don't look too professional right now. But this is good. This is like raw conversations with my subscribers. And I consider you guys my friends. You're my internet friends. You're like a big family. Big family that just broke 16,000 subscribers. So we have 16,000 family members, guys. Give yourselves a round of applause. 16,000, that's... Oh, I'm so happy. Couldn't be here without you guys. You guys are fantastic. I will remember each and every one of you when we get to 100,000 subscribers. I am going to remember all of your guys' names who are in this chat right now. I'm going to remember every single one of you. Okay? And I'm going to thank you. When we reach 100,000 subscribers, we're going to have a party. All right? I'm going to throw a huge party. So yeah. So if your friends are interested in filmmaking, share this channel with them. Let's get as many subscribers as we can to like this channel, to watch the content. More subscribers the better, guys. Let's make this family massive. Millions of subscribers. Let's do it. We can do it. All right? All right, guys. So I'm going to go take a shower, compose myself. I got a lot of batteries I have to charge. I have a shoot coming up soon, and I just need to charge a ton of batteries. And I know that's going to take hours and hours and hours. You can never have too many batteries. There's actually a phobia, and I think I'm one of those people who has those phobia. And it has to do with not having enough batteries. So I'm pretty sure I have that phobia. Alright, guys, well, thank you so much for watching. Again, when this live stream ends, you can continue posting questions because I'll answer it in the next live stream or in a new tutorial video. So, again, you can super chat me, send me a donation so I can buy more equipment for reviewing. That way I can help you with your purchasing decisions, and we can move on from there. Thank you guys so much for supporting this channel. I really appreciate everything you guys are doing. Let's together grow and be the best that we can be. All right? Thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you soon.